Hi, in this video I want to talk about how to manage hosts with the user hierarchy in Market Dojo. So to get started from the dashboard we can go into the admin menu and host permissions, and as you might expect you need to have permission to see this menu before you can get started here. There are a number of things you can do here. Let's go through them one by one. The first thing you might want to do is to add a user. So let's just add a user here, and it's just a case of pasting in their email address or email addresses and clicking add user. That will create the user, and you may then want to email the user to let them know that an account has been created. You might want to wait until you've added various rules. However, it's worth noting here that if you want to give them admin rules, they cannot do that until they've actually registered, so the system will prevent admin rules from being added until they've registered. So let's email this first user of any changes, and that will dispatch an email out to anyone whose permissions have been changed and let them know that they have new permissions or have an account created. Great. So the second thing to note here is when you are adding rules, you want to make sure that they're admin rules, you want to make sure they're part of the default group. So the default group will show up in host groups, and if they don't have that permission then you'll get a little warning when you try and add admin rules for them, and that's just to prevent the wrong people getting admin rules. So okay, let's now give one of our users admin permissions. So to click that first button, add rule for admin permissions, and then we can choose for each permission whether we're going to give them view or edit permission, and then we can choose one of the available host permissions to give them access to. So in this case I'll say for example the lot library, and we'll submit that permission, and there we are, we now have access to the lot library. And you can add any other permissions, any other admin permissions you want here. These will correspond to the different tabs at the top of the screen. There's a couple of special ones. So supplier onboarding is our Sim Dojo supplier onboarding tool, and there's also a permission for own events. Now this user has access to all events, so or all event permissions, so doesn't see it here, but own event permissions is a way of just giving people access to control who else can see their events. The second add rule button here corresponds to adding rules relating to the events themselves in Market Dojo. So we can give each user or each group of users access to either view or edit our events. So we'll say edit in this case, and that will correspond to whether they're a stakeholder or they're who's just watching the event, or someone who actually needs to make changes to it. And then we can define the rules based on three different things: either who owns the event, or the group which the owner of the event belongs to, or if we want to be really granular we can specify it for the event itself. So typical use cases, if you just got a few people running in the tool and you just want to give people access to their events, one person's events, you can choose them here. If you've got more people using the tool then you might divide people up into groups, and for example maybe this user needs to see all the legal events, so we'll add them there. And then finally, if it's just one single event that you want people to see, then you can choose it here. And obviously if you're running a lot of events that can become quite a long list, but it does allow you to be very specific in what events they can see. Okay, and we'll add that one there. Great. Okay, I think the last thing that I could mention here is the ability to delete users from the permissions, just to clear up the page if there's a lot of users here that you're no longer working with. And as ever, don't forget to email user of any changes after you've made all those changes, so the system can automatically notify them that there's new permissions for them. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been useful.